Imagine you can read only 5 whole books for the rest of your life, but this book has to make you a multi-millionaire. The question would be, which 5 books would you choose to read? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. First published in 1937, this book has sold over 70 million copies worldwide. Clarity is power. When your brain knows a real number, your conscious mind will find a way to take you there. He spent the majority of his life studying successful people and their habits and urges us to think riches in your thoughts in order to see riches in our bank account. Let's look at two main lessons from this book.
Lesson 1. Use auto suggestion to build your belief.
The key trait about successful people is the incredible belief they have about themselves and their goals. By telling yourself over and over again that it is possible for you to achieve your goals, making your dream a reality is when you start to form these beliefs in your subconscious mind. This not only builds confidence, but it also lets your goal seep into your subconscious part of your brain until you automatically align all your actions that leads you towards your goal. Lesson 2. Always stick to your decisions. When Henry Ford decided the Model T would be his masterpiece, he knew this would be the one. In spite of people telling him to give up, change the model, come up with a new model again and again, but he stood with his decision. And then what happened? The first Model T was produced in August 1908 and sold over 15 million units worldwide until 1927, 19 years later. Options are cheap, everyone has one, and it's your decision to use them or throw them away. Rich Dad Poor Dad, first published in 1997 by Robert T. Kiyosaki, this book has sold over 32 million copies worldwide, 40 languages across 40 countries. This is one of the best personal finance books you can read. The book starts with Robert growing up with his own dad, whom he calls Poor Dad, and his friend's dad, whom he calls Rich Dad. He compares the two on financial terms and tries to learn good advice from both of them. Poor Dad being focused majorly in liabilities, loans, debts, while Rich Dad focusing on assets to build up his empire. He clearly defines the difference between an asset and a liability with brilliant examples. An asset puts money into your pocket, but a liability actually takes money from your pocket. My poor dad said, I can't afford it, but my rich dad asked, how can I afford it? The book showcased 4 cash flow quadrants, employees and self employed people who exchange their valuable time for money, business owners who employ employees to get money, and investors who put in money to get money. Our lives are so much controlled by fear and greed. People say, oh, I'm not interested in money. Yet, they will work at a job for 8 hours a day. And Kiyosaki made an acronym for job, just over broke. There's a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is temporary, poor is eternal. A person can be highly educated, professionally successful, and financially illiterate. The rich buy assets, the poor have expenses, and the middle class buy liabilities which they think are assets. Take, for example, a new car. The moment you buy and drive it off the lot, it loses 25% of its value. For most people, the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. Keep expenses low, reduce liabilities, and build a solid base of assets. The Compound Effect, first published in 2010 by Darren Hardy. This is a New York Times and the Wall Street Journal bestseller. The book mainly concentrates on how making small choices can impact your life and tells about the wonder of compounding. Would you prefer to receive a one time payment of 10 lakh rupees or a magical 1 paisa penny that doubles in value for the next 31 days. Pause the video and think it out. Alright, for the people who choose 1 paisa, at the end of 31 days, you will be sitting with a corpus of 1 crore rupees. This teaches us the power of compounding and the need to start investing early in life. The earlier you start, the greater the time you stay invested in, the more the compound effect works in your favor. As I write this, Warren Buffett's net worth is $84.5 billion. Of that, $84.2 billion was accumulated after his 50th birthday. Another great idea is the garbage in, garbage out, which tells about the negative things we take in and how our life turns to be negatively out. Don't waste your time watching TV, eating junk, reading useless stuff, consuming negative stories, and more. Remember, small choices plus consistency plus time equals significant results. The Psychology of Money. First published in 2020 by Morgan Housel, this book has sold over 500,000 copies worldwide. In this book, the author teaches us how to have a better relationship with money and to make smarter financial decisions. Emphasizing that one can become rich just by behaving in the right attitude towards money. There is always someone with a higher financial status than you. The goal is to compare yourself with your past self. The book starts with a janitor who had 8 million in his savings account when he died, saving over time and letting the wonder of compounding do its work. The investment decisions you take on 99% of the days doesn't matter. It's the investment decisions you make on the small number of days when something big happens, like massive downturn, market crash, speculative bubble, that makes all the difference. Warren Buffett has owned 400 to 500 stocks during his life. His majority of his money came from just 10 stocks. If you are rich, you have a high current income and bigger opportunities in the short term. Being wealthy is different. It's an invisible hat that you have that's not spent. Being wealthy provides you the flexibility of having freedom, time, possessions in the future. As humans, we tend to underestimate how much our long term financial planning will change over time. We may think we'll never have kids or a big house when we are young, so we plan accordingly. But then we find ourselves with a house and kids that the plan didn't account for. So, when thinking about your finance, try to account for the unknown. People buy mansions and fancy cars thinking they get respect and admiration from others. But what they didn't realize is that people don't admire the person. They admire the objects and think of themselves having the object. Buying impressive items to gain admiration just doesn't work out. The Richest Man in Babylon, first published in 1926 by George Clason, it has sold over 2 million copies worldwide. The book tells us financial advices through a collection of parables set 4,000 years ago in ancient Babylon. Let's look into 5 key lessons from this book. Pay yourself first when you get your income. Before you get your salary, before any other expenditure, pay yourself one tenth of the amount. This was to make sure you always earn money for yourself before slaving for others. Men of action is favored by goddess of luck. A procrastinator and a doer is faced with same amount of opportunities. What differentiates them is the amount of opportunities they try out. The procrastinator will come up with as many excuses as he can, while the doer will try to do as many opportunities as he can. Therefore, the chances of a doer being lucky and succeed is way higher than the procrastinator. It has nothing to do with luck, it has everything to do with action. The power of passive income. One day you might not be fit enough to work, So set up a system which can generate you passive income. Over time, you will accumulate a lot of cash if you obey the rule of saving for you first. Putting your hard earned money to work will work for you while you go to class, hang out with friends, and even while you sleep. Invest in places that you are knowledgeable. I personally don't have any idea how Bitcoin works and where it will be in 10 years. Honestly speaking, most of the people who invest in Bitcoin also doesn't know how Bitcoin works. Invest your money in places where you're knowledgeable about and the places where you can control. Guard your money from fatal loss. You buy insurance for all sorts of stuffs like bike, car, houses. This goes for cash also. Don't stuff everything under your bed. Instead, take it to a bank or invest somewhere and avoid gambling. Hope you found this video useful. Give a thumbs up if you like this video and don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned with the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. If you want to bring in a new perspective into your life, I suggest you watch this video on 10 life lessons under 10 minutes to explore your life even further.